Welcome to Soul Elevation, guiding your ascension to new heights. I'm your host, Kara Goodwin. Thank you so much for joining me. This is episode 500, which is completely blowing my mind. And I have things that I want to talk about today to thank you and to do a little bit of reflection about my podcast journey, but also I want to encourage you to do some reflection and talk a little bit about some fun things with the podcast and do a little speculating on what the future holds. So, first, let me start by thanking you. Thank you so much for being part of this journey. It's really hard to believe that it's been 500 episodes now. Next month, it will be 7 years since the podcast started. Just a little bit of a background, depending on how long you've been a part of this podcast journey, you may not know some of the history, but it was until last year, it was called the Meditation Conversation. So, for about 6 years, it went by Meditation Conversation. I started this podcast with my friend Alessandra, who is in Sweden. We started it really focused on meditation. And after about a year and a half, I think she needed to move on. So I kept going with the podcast and it became interview style. And in that, it really I stopped really focusing on meditation so much, but it took me a long time before I actually got up the nerve to change the name because I liked meditation conversation. I liked the alliteration, how the words sounded together. So I also wondered about, recognition, if people would still resonate with it if I changed the name. But ultimately, the conversations were really more aligned with consciousness and soul growth. And so I think it was a really wise decision to change it from meditation conversation to soul elevation, just so that people have a better idea of what the content's about. Because if you were looking for a meditation conversation, you weren't really going to get it on this podcast, as it kept evolving. So I have been just doing a little bit of reflecting on my own journey, the podcast journey, and it made me think about the importance of reflection for all of us. And we might want to have tips about the best way to go about reflecting. It can be helpful to write things down to kind of get the flow going. Keeping a journal, reviewing a journal, those kinds of things can help. But really even just taking some time to think about what has your path been like? And there are people who are watching this who might be newer in their spiritual awakening. I know we have a range of people who listen to this podcast, some who have been on an awakening journey for years or decades, but there is a whole wave of people who are waking up every day and they're starting to see their lives from a different perspective. And they're starting to connect with themselves as a spirit, as a spiritual being having a human experience. So, wherever you are on the path, whether you've been going about this for a long time and you've practiced a lot of different modalities and you've dived into a lot of different lineages and teachers and so forth, that's beautiful. But if you're newer on the path, don't discount yourself. We need people waking up at all levels. We need people who are just starting to uncover things and just starting their adventure in the spiritual world. And one of the things that I believe very, very passionately is the importance of people who are waking up, who are still tied to the system. So, a lot of people, as they start to wake up, they may feel like, wait a minute, my job doesn't reflect where I am. I'm still in this sort of 3D job, and the people who I'm working with or working for or interacting with through my job don't get it. They're still having conversations that reflect the old way and the how I used to think. They're kind of back where when I was version 1.0, they're still there. And I want to be with people who are version 2.0 or higher. And the beauty of this grand design of spiritual awakening that humanity is going through right now is the people who are waking up and they're in the system. So, people who are still having those interactions with a lot of people who aren't yet awake, that's so crucial. I think about people in the services, like police officers, let's say, and police officers with where we are right now, they might be asked to do some things that if they're in a place where they're only following orders and they're not questioning anything and they have complete trust and faith in the authority who is asking them, who's telling them what to do, that's one kind of worker. And that worker bee is just going to do, they're not going to think, they're just going full steam ahead because they've been given the orders and they're not going to think about it. But you can have somebody who is on an awakening journey, who maybe at one point did take orders in a way that they didn't question. And now it's not making sense for them. And now they have a choice to make about how they address that and how they then act, because who really is their authority? They're finding that authority within themselves. And that is such an opportunity for us as humans. And it's not just police officers. This is every stage, every career, every one of us. We make up this. We're all a part of something bigger. And the more people that we have in the diversity of the human collective experience and all the different ways that we can be out there expressing ourselves and making a living and going about our day to day, all the different opportunities that we all have these ways that we play an important role. We may not be able to see it right now, but I have faith that it is by design. And that, all of that being said, if you're really chomping at the bit and you just can't take it anymore and you don't want to be a part of whatever it is you have been a part of, you are the creator of your reality. So you may have a lot more options at your disposal than your imagination is letting you think that you do. So please don't stay in a situation where you feel stuck because you think that you have to out of duty. There are all kinds of ways that we can have our lives and we can express ourselves, and we're creative beings. We are creator beings. And it's an exciting time for all of us to really start to step in to who we are. And I think that that's the big invitation that all of us have, is to start to recognize who our authority is. And when we can be more and more the embodiment of spirit, so we are a human body that is housing a spirit that is a direct line to source consciousness, that changes everything. It has the potential to change everything. And the more that we can live our lives in accordance with that truth, the faster things go, really, for all of us. We really have this opportunity. And I know it's not always easy. It's a process. We may feel like we're taking a couple steps forward and we might have to take a step back, and it's okay. We don't have any pressure, but it is a really important time. So thank you. Thank you to you, wherever it is that you are on your own personal journey. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And remember that even when the work just feels like it's very, very personal, and you may not think that you're affecting people outside of yourself, the fact that you are getting deeper into alignment, the fact that you are holding more light, that you are enacting yourself as a liberated being who answers to the creator and answers to yourself and is no longer outsourcing authority to those who want to be our authority. It's huge. The energetic imprint that you have helps to lift everything. So please don't discount that. And thank you so, so much for what you're doing to help everybody to ascend and to be on this path of awakening. And in that similar vein, thank you so much for letting me be a part of your journey in whatever way that you are a part of the soul elevation. I'm so grateful that we're connected. Even if I don't know who you are, we are still connected in the quantum. And I'm so grateful to have the honor and the privilege to be a part of your journey, your awakening journey, your continued soul elevation, your continued evolution of your life. It's an incredible honor, and I hold it very dear and very sacred, and it brings me so much joy. I really don't think that there is anything that has more of a priority in what we're here to do as human beings than to express ourselves with the truth of who we are. And you're doing that. If you're interested in this content, you are that type of person. So I honor you and I thank you again so much for letting me be part of it. And um, in terms of what's next, 500 episodes and we're not stopping. I've mentioned in other lives that I've been doing a lot of podcast guesting. I'm really having so much fun connecting with other podcast guests who are in this space to be in co-creation with them. It's just amazing what people out there are digging into, what they're exploring, how they're helping people. And so I'm really loving being on their platforms. You can see on my YouTube video, on my YouTube channel, Soul Elevation Podcast, you can see featured appearances where I always update what podcasts I've been a guest on. It's also on my homepage for karagoodwin.com, my featured appearances. And I just want to keep collaborating. You'll notice that I have summits about 3 or 4 times a year. And my next one's coming up. I haven't really talked that much about it, but 2 months from today, actually, as I'm recording this, is October 6th. So on December 6th, which is a Saturday, I'll have my next online summit. This is the Miracle Summit 25, and it's called 25 because I started the whole online summit thing with the Miracle Summit last year. And it was such a beautiful, profound experience. And so I'm so excited to have 9 new speakers to explore miracles. And what I love about the opportunity with these summits is that we get together. There's this really beautiful, powerful energy associated with these summits that we're pulling in for everybody. And we get into this miracles vibe, which will happen in a number of different ways. Different speakers will bring different elements, all related to the topic of miracles. But I give a lot of room for each speaker to express themselves in the way that most aligns for them. So I'm not saying like, tell us a story and then do this or do an activation or do whatever. Like I give some guidelines and some recommendations, but I'm really wanting to see the magic happen without being too directive about how to make that happen, without manhandling it too much. And everybody who is listening, who is speaking, we're all tuning into miracles as this is happening. And so some people may be recollecting and retelling stories of how they have of miracles that they've witnessed. Others might be doing activations. It's different things that come in, but all of our attention starts to focus on miracles. And as we do that, the miracle vibration gets stronger and more resonant, and we all start resonating with it. And there's like this harmonic that gets created. And the basis, the foundation of that is the miracles frequency. And so we're doing this on December 6th, as I said, and that's right before the holidays. So, from this event, we're going to kind of fill ourselves up energetically with this miracles frequency. And then what's going to happen? You're going to go out into the world over the following weeks, and you're going to be having a lot of holiday get togethers with friends and family that you might not see a lot of times. You're going to be around people a lot more than you might normally be in other months. And you're going to be rippling that frequency out. Even if you're not, it doesn't mean you have to go out and talk about the Miracle Summit. It doesn't mean you have to be out there evangelizing about anything. It becomes a part of who you are. And you share that with every interaction that you have. And so this summit, it's a beautiful, this is what happened last year. And I got such amazing feedback from people. It was such a beautiful experience. And so I'm excited to have this again. And you can register for free. I'll put the link in the notes when I'm finished with this recording. You can upgrade so that you can catch up with the recording anytime. All of the speakers are going to be giving gifts for the VIP, so you can engage deeper with each of these speakers, and they are phenomenal speakers. So you're going to be really spoiled if you become a VIP, and it's only $55. You're going to get way more value than the $55. It's just I highly recommend, if you can, to become a VIP. So that's to come. And yeah, I'm also just excited to kind of keep flowing with things, keep seeing what opportunities show up and where I feel like I need to put my attention next. And so we'll see. But again, thank you so much. Wow, 500 episodes. It's really something for me to try to absorb that we've gotten here. And I am, again, just so grateful. Thank you so much for your support. Please be sharing these episodes, this podcast out, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. That is so helpful. And please keep just remembering how majestic you are, how important you are, and keep going. Thank you so much. I bless you. I thank you, and I'll see you next time.